people in general public speaking about the headless and composable, they typically mean the same thing. In reality, they are not that far different. In reality, headless is rather the architectural approach to how would you build your product or system. What that means essentially is that the backend, let's say the commerce platform or the CMS platform, doesn't have any head, like a front end. So I would treat it more as a property of the system rather than atomic part of the general solutions that can be. When we are speaking about the composable, that's rather the business concept where your entire solution is composed out of the packaged business capabilities.
Welcome to the Ecommerce Toolbox Expert Perspectives, a podcast by Noibu, where we explore the elite strategies and cutting-edge insights with our expert guests. Get ready to propel your e-commerce business to the next level.
Welcome to another episode of the Ecommerce Toolbox Expert Perspective. For the first time in the year-long life of the show, we actually have two guests today. So we have two experts at the same show. So welcome, Anton and Stas. Really excited to have you on the show today.
Hello.
Thanks, Kailin. Great to be here.
So let's start off by maybe passing it to you, Anton, for a brief introduction. Talk maybe a bit about yourself, how you got into commerce, and where you currently are today.
Sure. I'm Anton. I'm head of revenue for Astound Digital, and we're part of a global organization. I'm with Astound for about 2.5 years now. And I got into commerce through a generalist perspective about 3 years ago. I was working on the B2B side on the supply chain side, and then got into the digitalization of processes and eventually landed in commerce. I'm based in Germany, where one of our headquarters are. So we have 3 headquarters globally and represent the business side of things. And with that, I will hand to Stas.
Yeah, hi. My name is Stas. I'm technical director of Composable Commerce at Astound. I've been here for quite a while, for 12 years. I started as a regular developer of rather monolithic platforms, and then I made my journey into more of the headless and composable solutions as a solution architect and then as a technical director. So quite excited to be here.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us, Anton and Stas. My first question is maybe talk to us a bit about Astound Commerce for those that haven't heard, just for context for the listeners. Astound probably has the largest market share of our customer base. I don't know what that really represents globally, but they come up a lot with a lot of our kind of mid-market and enterprise clients. But I'm sure Anton could do a better job of introducing Astound. So maybe tell us a bit about Astound, Anton.
Yeah, sure. So Astound Commerce actually changed its name to Astound Digital just recently. And what this journey encompasses is that we as Astound Digital, in our core, we deliver technology, data, and AI solutions from a delivery perspective, right? So we are a trusted advisor when it comes to system integration and technological delivery of solution. We lay decision frameworks for technology before the actual implementation, and also challenge organizational designs to embed technology within operational processes. And we do maintenance and continued technical support, as well as strategic consulting post-launch. So this is where Astound has their core.
Cool. So you mentioned, obviously, a lot of mid-market enterprise. You can go to their website, check out who they work with. A lot of these businesses have very complex needs, which will bring me to, I guess, my first question for you, Stas, which is, you mentioned that you're technical director on the composable, on the headless side. Some people don't really know what the difference is. A lot of these words, you have the mock alliance that's coming strong. So maybe talk to us a bit about what is headless commerce? What is composability? How are they similar? How are they different?
Sure. So, yeah, I agree. There is a fair bit of confusion in the market of what named what. There is still debates on what is the proper language. However, in most of the scenarios when people in general public speaking about the headless and composable, they typically mean the same thing. In reality, they are not that far different. In reality, headless is rather the architectural approach to how would you build your product or system. What that means essentially is that the backend, let's say the commerce platform or the CMS platform, doesn't have any head, like a front end. So like I would treat it more as a property of the system rather than atomic part of the general solutions that can be. When we are speaking about the composable, that's rather the business concept where your entire solution is composed out of the packaged business capabilities. So for example, you've got your e-commerce, that's a one box, one packaged capability. You've got your CMS, you've got your search, and whatever other capabilities should be there will be presented as their individual system. In general, the main difference of all that from the traditional commerce, as we used to call it, and we don't want to be careful about not calling it monolithic because somehow it gets this negative feeling about it. Yet it's not negative, it's just like built for different purpose and with different mindset. So the main difference is that in a monolithic system, that front end and back end is deployed in one go, meaning that with every single deployment, you have more risks of the regression. For example, we've had a case when our developer had to change the logo and somehow he managed to broke the checkout in general. And that's one of the known characteristics of those traditional commerce. Yet it's not all bad. In reality, if you don't need to deploy your code that often, maybe it's a good solution as well. But that may prevent you from your ability to innovate faster and move faster in general.
Yeah, and really, it really comes into my second question, which is why is this important? So if I'm a retailer, why would this be important for me to consider or even put it into my stack?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, it's not one size fits all type of monologue in here because there is so many different perspectives on how would you manage your e-commerce business and what your approach to technology would be. However, like it's a quite good way to, there is a good way to break down it in 4 different pillars. And let's start with customer experience itself. When we are saying about the customer experience in relation to technology, most of the time it will mean user experience in general. The headless approach helps to move that faster and helps to develop better experience per se because of the ability to choose what your head should be. So, for example, you can have your application at the head be developed with more modern frameworks. And more modern frameworks have like a wider market of the innovation present for them. So, for example, you can choose from the ready libraries, ready UI libraries to compose your solution entirely, which automatically will speed you up in the end delivery. But also it will provide better experience because you may be using something that is widely used in the market and very well tested. So, for example, there is common libraries, as we know them, like ShotCM, for example, or Tailwind libraries. They are widely used, so that means that they already developed with the accessibility in mind, with all of the problems that has been appearing in scope of other clients. You may benefit from it right away. But also, it is ability not to be reliant only on one system that does it all. So, for example, in our monolithic representation, we would get the e-com system and CMS capabilities in there, and search capabilities and other stuff, which naturally limits you as a business by the opinion of that single platform. So then what you're choosing to do most of the time is that you are going to third-party vendors. And in that scenario, it's possible both in the traditional architecture and in the composable architecture as well. But what we see along our clients, it's much more expensive to replace some major component of the monolithic system versus the component of the composable system because of the technical approaches that has been used for that type of integration. What differentiated very well from the traditional architectures is most of the time the monolithic type of platforms would propose their proprietary solutions to the way you're handling the front end. That means also that you need higher skilled developers who will be working for you. And of course, it comes with a cost. Not to mention, in composable world, there is also developers that also sometimes tend to be expensive. However, you're more likely to find the developer who knows Vue, React, or Angular, that developer who knows specifically, I don't know, Magento, for example, right? So that enables you as a business to move faster and with the cutting-edge technologies. Of course, it comes with some risks, but the benefits of trying to experiment with those new technologies kind of like overlapping that risk and hiding that entirely, if not partially. So also another benefit here from the speed to market perspective, as I mentioned, we in composable commerce, you will typically be using something very modern, a very modern framework like React, Vue, Angular, or anything else. You will be exposed to the market of the partners who can help you innovate. So for the A/B testing solutions, for the search and merge solutions, and those type of partners, they tend to develop their accelerator connectors first in the commonly known solutions. So for example, you are likely to find the connector based on React or on Vue rather than on the connector for the PHP-based Magento solution at some point. So what that means is that because they're developing it faster for that technologies, you are more likely to take it right away and start using it right away for your purpose. While if you were on the monolithic platform, you probably would have to wait longer. And typically, those platforms would have their certification process and lots of other bureaucratic needs that needs to be passed before it even can be released. I guess also what worth noting is the undoubtful scalability of the composable solutions, thanks to more cloud-native thinking about that deployment. So it can start as typically in traditional commerce, you may still have that capability to scale. However, that scaling will be limited by the opinion of that platform on how your website needs to work. And if you were to develop something custom and something unique, which would be very specific to your business, it may not scale that well in the traditional architecture, while it will be scaling good in the composable, just because you have to do the decisions on how you're going to deploy it. You may kind of put your unique capability in the dedicated microservice or a dedicated application, and that will scale independently without impacting your main core business scenarios on your website.
No, that's amazing context, Stas. And Anton, I'm going to flip it to you because I think it's becoming clearer and clearer what the differences are from a technical standpoint. Maybe I'll ping it to you for some real life examples of how this actually drives result in a tactical real life setting. So if I'm sitting here, I'm a VP of ecom, I'm kind of in the fork of the road, right? We have a monolithic system, maybe it's a legacy homegrown system, or on something that we have to upgrade. And on the left-hand side, I have, let me just do a template. And then on the right-hand side, I have, let me go best of breed, composable or headless. Maybe give me some examples of the types of businesses and real life examples of people that went the composable or headless route and some of those business impacts.
All right. Thanks, Kailin. The first one, I think the first thing that I would do is if you have on one side the template and on the other side, let's say the custom, I would say composable doesn't mean pure custom. You have pre-composed solutions and you have reference architectures, or so to speak, if you want to refer to them as templates, you have them composable as well. If, for example, you talk about a storefront, you have storefront reference architectures that you can start as a starting point, so you don't have to start from scratch. I can elaborate on this further, where it also connects directly to cost impact, because a lot of brands are super interested in reusability or an accelerated standpoint. We at Astound call this accelerators. This is not an exclusive term for us, but we work with accelerators actually with regard to all the technologies that we deploy. We don't have to start from scratch, and therefore it's not, let's say, as per definition, not purely custom, right? Still, to your question, we see benefits on pure web vitals based on modernized and composed architectures, based on everything that Stas just said, right? So we have increased in load times. We have a concrete case. I will not name the brands obviously, but we have a concrete case with about 70% faster load times and 50% higher mobile conversion rates. We have another real life example where we have 30% more page views across all sites and 20% less bounce rate on mobile, which are, as a KPI, as a Web Vital KPI, a direct benefit, but this definitely, you should track that in terms of your financial performance and how this influences your conversion rate and therefore your increase in top line. So you have to monitor this, right? If this performance increase also actually translates into an actual financial KPI. And the third case that I will mention is rather less Web Vital driven, but rather interesting, because at the time that we decoupled the storefronts, or multiple storefronts in that case, websites as well as application to communicate through the same backend for front-end integration layers, right? You have now the opportunity to also decouple your business decision of, for example, a commerce engine. So you can decide what user experience in the front, if that works best for you, you already own that. And now you can come and utilize the commerce engine that suits best to your business logic that you are trying to solve for. And you can decouple these as well, which also actually allows you to run proofs of concepts faster, because you technically have a storefront available already, and you just have, it's not that simple, right? But I'm oversimplifying it right now, but you technically can take your storefront and plug and play it with a different commerce engine, and you have a quick setup proof of concept, which there you can do. You talk about experimentation in this podcast. This definitely warrants quicker and cheaper experimentation from a business perspective to get to the solution that you're after.
Cool. I always love to hear it, and I definitely respect. I know in Europe, you folks are definitely more protective. In North America, we just throw around customer names left, right, and center. So I can definitely appreciate that. We spoke a lot about the business positive aspects of like composable or headless architecture. Just so that we're impartial, if we're going to take the other side of the argument, what are some of the risks or some of the challenges that if you don't do it correctly, if you choose the wrong partner, if you're not in the right stage of business, that these things could actually hurt your business?
I'll start this one and I'll hand it to Stas after. So I think what's the first important piece in this is the challenge is not having clear business objectives. This is not a surprise, and this sounds like general consultancy language, but it's true, right? So if you want to experiment, you have to understand what this experimentation should lead to. So decide what you're after, what you're trying to improve, because otherwise you're just experimenting for the sake of experimenting, and experimentation costs money. Therefore, it can become a little bit costly here. So outline your business objectives that you're trying to solve with either headless or composable, as Staff outlined it in his definition, and like embed all this into at least a midterm perspective. Yeah, like a midterm business perspective. So you have a goal that you're steering towards too. Another suggestion, of course, I'm biased towards this one, but I could give you that as well. If you want to experiment, get someone on board that relates to the technology piece. If you work with businesses, they have business objectives, right? Their own business objectives that we, of course, learn, but cannot be as deep as the brands or businesses themselves. However, what we know is we know technology and we know implementation frameworks and the stuff that actually we do right. Yeah. So delivery of technology frameworks. So partner with someone who can solve for these elements and then experiment together with them. And I think the best way that it works is if you have your business vision clear and then you get us on board and get us on board on that business vision, we can experiment together in a ring fence, or at least with guardrail, in a guardrail way. This is what we want. And then the last one is what you're after is maybe do it in this two-step approach. Don't try to accomplish everything at once. Do it in a stepping stone solution. Go headless first, maybe, and then composable second, if that's what you're after, based on your business objective. I'll hand to Stas for more little bit elaboration on the tech perspective of the challenges.
Yeah, I would like to also expand on the hybrid approaches to that, because really one of the biggest problems with those modern builds that nobody is realizing how much time and effort it takes at first, because from one perspective, all the technologies are there, They just need to be kind of installed and everything will be work fine. In reality hits way harder than that. In reality, businesses wants to make everything like for like, especially the ones who's been working on their websites for years to come and had like major investments in all the features. They would be claiming that all those features are tested and they are typically working well for them. And of course, it leads to the scope creep right away, so to say. So instead, there is a better approaches on how that can be tackled. One of them is MVP first, but of course, the existing business wouldn't want to do the MVP. They would want at least like for like. And in that scenario, there is an approach we called the phased one. That means that you are basically splitting your site into these 3 journeys. One being the browse journey, second being the checkout journey, and the self-assessment journey. I refer to my account and other pages on the website. So typically, it's a good idea to start small and start with browse journey, because that's where you will see the most of the uplift and benefits from the modern frameworks, because most of your pages are in that browse journey, most visited pages, I mean. So you can still integrate with your traditional version of checkout if you're just doing the migration within the same platform. And that's a really, really good idea and good approach. And it de-risks a lot. And it also enables you to experiment first before you will decide to move further and migrate entire site itself. The other challenge also related to scope is the shiny object syndrome itself, because once business started realizing that, actually we have all of these capabilities and opportunities here, why don't we enhance our capex value by adding all of that in? And then we are talking about of course we have possibility to deploy the service workers, and then everyone would receive native like experience of push messages and stuff. Of course, you are getting like those modern experiences, lots of transitions that are that previously were laggy, but now you can tune them so they're kind of perfect and so on, and more inspirational. Yes, all of that are available, but if you're starting to do that at the very beginning, you end up with the larger build, and you are risking to overinvest. And that slowly also moving me into kind of like the more agile ways of thinking, because like the objectives of those is not really to start and create something extremely nice at the very beginning. It's more about let's create something that will work, and then we'll start iterate and innovate. So that is the best approach to choose if you were to go headless from existing platform, from existing website.
Cool. Anton, Stas, this has been amazing. Wanted to thank you folks so much for your time. And as we look to wrap up, any parting words for you guys? If anyone has any questions, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, sure. I'll conclude with a statement that I have threefold, and then I just mentioned like how to get in touch. So if Stas mentioned it briefly, like wrapping it up and like drawing the line underneath everything that we just said. So I think do what's feasible and not what's possible with Composable, right? So that's what you should do. So what that means is 3 things. Consider TCO. And if you can, also dare to set a budget aside for experimentation, right? Don't try to do everything plannable in a Composable or, for that respect, like agile work mode to get the best benefit out of it. The second is definitely consider pre-composed framework for your industry, right? And the third one would be, and that leads me to my last point, is consider joining hands with a partner who solves technology-related challenges in comparison to the business or brand-related challenges that you are trying to solve for. And well, that's like the last point. So if you want to talk about these things and how to join the universes together of you battling business and us solving technology solution, this is where you should get in touch and brainstorm. And as I mentioned it, and this is where I will conclude, is we help with technical or technological delivery of those frameworks, but we can do consultation to help you with decision frameworks on how to arrive at those tech solutions. And then we will do the post-launch. One is technology and also strategy, consultation and maintenance. Yeah. So if you want to get in touch, well, if you're listening to Kailin's podcast, call Kailin. Kailin will put you in touch with Anton, no problem. Or you can reach out directly by sharing contacts. No issues here. Appreciate it, Kailin. I had some final word thoughts as well. Maybe you also want to add something before he hands over back to you.
Yeah. If I had to summarize what we've discussed and actually haven't discussed today, like first thing is start lean. Start thinking about not implementing everything at once. Start thinking about implementing something that will definitely work first and then start iterating to improve on it. The other bit is more towards the operations within the composable environment itself, is that you need to prepare to change how you operate there. So for example, you may have e-commerce system, you may have the CMS system, you may have search and merge, and that creates kind of like logical silos within which you would need responsible person of doing things. While maybe in monolithic platform, you may have one person who will be sort of like configuring the sorting of the products and also adding the content on your homepage. Now think about like splitting them and eliminating them, their individual functions. So you will be matching your technical architecture and your business capabilities itself.
Amazing. Thank you guys so much. I learned a lot personally. I'm assuming everyone who listened did as well. So thank you guys again.
The e-commerce toolbox Expert Perspectives is brought to you by Noibu. To find out more about Noibu and how we can help you debug your e-commerce site and rocket your revenue, visit www.noibu.com. That's Noibu.com. And then make sure to search for the e-commerce toolbox Expert Perspectives on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found, and click subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes. On behalf of the team here at Noibu, thanks for listening.